Well, welcome to the inaugural reading of the book Untucked Journalist to Untucked Coffee Barista. I hope you get a giggle out of it. The Pukekohe manager was excited because the advertorial went through the gutter. He explained that to his very pretty advertising manager loudly. It was hard focusing when he blabbed his knowledge all over us like dirty mist spraying off truck wheels on a damp, wet Huntley Main Street named Main Street. I had a big story, darn it all, on rabbits in the local cemetery. My desk was only metres away in the newsroom, an oversized office for everyone. Journalists should be able to focus in a noisy newsroom, part of the territory. It's just that, sheesh, this was cringe material. So do you know what running through the gutter means? Big pot-bellied ex-radio station manager asked gleefully. Journalism, I wanted to shout, but didn't. No, replied the pretty advertising manager, staunchly feigning interest. The crescendo arrived, the boss's finest moment. They want their advert to run right through the centre pages, the middle, called the gutter, big-bellied bloke gleefully announced. There were no great spiritual or faith-filled peaks that I recall during my stint as a famous, in my own mind, living legend reporter for North Waikato News, as their non-resident journalist living in Hamilton. Yes, I was that man, covering the whole of Middle Earth, North Waikato, based in Huntley, home 30 to 40 minutes away through dark, foggy ruralness each night, driving my wee red Mitsubishi Lancer rocket with a spoiler on the boot, and Heart of the Waikato, beautifully sign-written in yellow along each side. Another decade had well and truly moved on, vaporizing like chemtrails in a conspiracy theory. Widowhood, teenagers, insurance assessing, zealous prayer for anyone including Mormons, and journalism school, gone, another story. They all faded like the low light of a Waikato evening. Faith hung on like a spider in a web through marriage number 3, a young infant son, and home parenting identity crisis. This was post-investigative journalism for Wishart, and I had morphed ugly, headlong, into bog-standard reporter for Fairfax. The Pukekohe manager was excited. No, we've done that one. Yes, we've lost it, haven't we? Where are we? Based in Huntley, 39. Another decade had well and truly moved on, vaporizing like chemtrails in a conspiracy theory. We've done that bit too, haven't I? And I'd morphed headlong into bog-standard reporter for Fairfax. Wonder why I went to that. Well, there you go. Come on, you can do it. This day I sat at my desk fighting writer's block. My journalism tutor once said, battle it by reading newspaper horse racing sections. Go figure. And a CEO of an NGO said as a cure for the dreaded block, eat dark chocolate. Neither worked this day. I slumped in a far-off corner, pot-bellied boss long gone, wishing I was too. Nowhere was far enough from the counter where the public could spy me out and demand, I want to see your reporter. Oh God, not another one. Suppressed in an equally far recess of the mind. I rose from my workstation, dealt to the interruption and slumped down again. Where's the frigging sellotape? Shouted across our large open-plan office. It's in my top drawer, said the advertising manager, nattering now to her best friend, the office manager. Both young, spending a lot of time yakking, and they were at it again. I sighed, stretched, rose slowly, sauntered uncaringly to her desk and opened the drawer. Whose condom is this, please? Asked with mock politeness. These girls, both very intelligent, seriously irritating at times, were allowed to run amok in the office because there was no resident boss, and despite one having the title office manager, that's as far as it went. I had long ago learned a Huntley coal train moved faster than anything I asked them to do. The search for the company sellotape now took on a whole new meaning. Holding aloft the shiny blue-greeny sealed sachet, I couldn't resist it. "Whose is it?" Still holding it exaggerated between index finger and thumb. "That's not mine, Neil," shouted one. A tall, elegant young woman, intelligent, we'll call her Gertrude, which is not her real one, and the only Gertrude I ever knew was my 1950s neighbour when I was at 1950s Whangarei Primary School, who allowed me to cut across her lawn on the way home from school if I was busting for the toilet, being the least embarrassing option of dumping between the corner of Hardier Drive and Banff Street, or on Mrs. Caternach's lawn, which I never did. Because Gertrude Caternach was a fine, elegant woman, unlike the two in the newsroom, Gertrude showed respect to men in her life like her two brothers. They lived in harmony together in 1950s Whangarei. Another story. Gertrude of Millennium Huntley showed not the slightest embarrassment or respect that I should be holding aloft a new, unopened condom for all to see except the public. Mattered not a jot. Actually, I was glad to find a new unopened condom sachet in the top drawer of our advertising manager's desk, because it meant I was in the real world, not some stuffed shirt, snobby large newspaper office newsroom or church. But if I wanted church, it was there too. I could transition seamlessly from my newsroom desk to church through the wall opposite my desk. It's true. Wandering off aimlessly, no traction to condom discovery or freedom from writer's block, let alone find the sellotape, I went to church. I discovered church in the newspaper office building the first week at North Waikato News, the cutting edge, 16-page I loved pretty much. I could just pop through the door like Butch of Hole in the Wall gang fame, and bingo, I was in Huntley's Assembly of God Church. Incredibly, AOG shared the same building as media giant Fairfax, an internal access which maybe only I knew about. Generally, we the media hate God, but here at monolithic Fairfax, it seemed we liked the big fella so much it was open door. My first week for Fairfax, I, the new news hound, discovered parts of our building nobody seemed to know. Venturing on my own tour one day, there ahead lay a mysterious door. Huh, where's this one go? I pondered, and naturally nosy twisted the handle. It was unlocked. I poked it gingerly with one finger. Stepping forth, I asked, "Hello? Anyone in?" And a couple of steps on, stopped, stared, amazed. A church! It was all rather surreal, really. A portal to another world, the one I converted to decades ago. Church, here, only metres from my desk. Deja vu and flashbacks like the weird feeling in 1997 when shown through another new office, a decade earlier at McLaren's International. In a building once owned by the Whangarei Catholics Resource Centre and Social Hall, my new desk was only metres from my 1951 plunge into things Pentecostal and healing of my speech impediment. The Catholics sold their resource centre to big business years after my conversion, but not before a couple of them prayed for me, and poof, my stammer. Gone burgers. It's true. Now I was in Fairfax North Waikato offices building, North Waikato News, part of a commercial block on Huntley's main street named Main Street. Our building also housed the old Huntley movie theatre, whose projector room formed part of our upper floor storage, and a church. The theatre closed years ago, and now, of course, it was a church. Not only that, it had an unlocked internal door to our newspaper office near my desk. Really, really weird, but true. Nobody said at my induction, "Oh, and over there, through that door, there's a church." Nobody. Maybe I wouldn't have cared. Soon I would be wrestling with the deputy editor from hell, deadlines and a Mission Impossible story count. How the heck do I find 12 to 16 news stories here per day? I asked my predecessor reporter. "You'll do it," she encouraged, laughing. I liked her. Later she would take over from the deputy editor who hated me. I had to keep the Dep Ed happy with stories galore. Although she was an hour away in our Pukekohe office near South Auckland, and heavily pregnant and grumpy, Dep Ed was a formidable force. Distance was no barrier to her wrath. Still, here at church, beside the newsroom, I walked on and slouched in the near corner of Central Huntly Assembly of God Church auditorium, stretched out and pretended God was here, not the deputy editor. Although, once at journalism school, Jim, our lecturer, said they and chief reporters were God. "News," said Jim. News was what the chief reporter said was news. I lifted my head towards the ceiling, looking for angels, cocked an ear for hallelujahs. Nothing. Only dim echoes in my brain of Dep Ed long ago being nice to me, but now, maternity pending, she wasn't. Maybe an anointed message accompanied by anointed apparitions would smash writer's block. Perhaps a misty figure would stand at the plain pulpit, empty like a Masada sentinel. These people doing church here were full-on, penty, happy-clappy variety, AOG, all within spitting distance of the reporter's desk. I did another wee wander, muttering a nothing prayer, then returned completely healed of writer's block. Racing column, dark chocolate, condoms, nah. Ad, go to church for writer's block solutions. Better still, trespass into one through your office wall next door. And so it was a little disconcerting sometimes, working overtime on a Sunday to the tune of a fiery sermon. Moses once boomed through the walls, and yes, I did think of joining them on more than one occasion, but neither dots nor ducks joined. Although I did get to know them a little bit. Their leader invited me to tell journalism and God stories to his flock. I accepted. "Great, I'll get back to you," he said. Never did. There you go. I hope you enjoyed that.